The infamous story of Noah's Ark. Built a boat, bought a zoo, and saved his family from Davy Jones' locker. An epic saga packaged with a big fat rainbow. But immediately after this picturesque moment of beauty and promise comes this weird amalgamation of crime and punishment. Noah planted a vineyard and had a little too much to drink when one of his sons walked in on him naked. To punish his son, he curses his grandson to perpetual servitude. Not even addressing the incredibly problematic, horribly racist interpretation of justifying the enslavement of an entire group of people based on the color of their skin, the curse itself seems pretty harsh. Seeing someone naked is worthy of eternal servitude, it just doesn't make sense. So in order to understand the story better, let's first ask the questions: what is nakedness and why is it so important to the crime committed against Noah? Looking to the Urban Dictionary for Ancient Israelites, seeing nakedness is a euphemism for sex. Jump to Leviticus and we see all the examples of nakedness, all with the underlying theme of sex. And when Noah awoke from his drunkenness, he knew what his youngest son had done to him. Now, if he's waking up from being blackout drunk, how could he have known Ham saw him naked? He couldn't have. But he knew because Ham did something to him. Ham saw his father's nakedness and did something to him. Are we seeing where this is going? But what about his brothers? They put a cloak on him and didn't see him, and they were blessed. Yes, they put a cloak between them and walked backwards so they didn't see their father's nakedness. And if seeing nakedness is sex, then they were trying to protect him after hearing of the assault and not expose him to further abuse. But it says they didn't see him naked, and that's why they were blessed. You think that the sin is actually seeing Noah naked, but what if I were to tell you some scholars argue that this little snippet was added by a later editor, which would equate the sin to the issue of modesty or indecency instead of the more serious offense. A sanitation, if you will, to make the story more palatable. But what I find more interesting is Noah knowing what his youngest son did to him. His youngest son, Japheth. Wait, didn't Ham see him naked? Why, yes, he did. But Noah was very clear that his youngest son was the perpetrator. Enter stage left. Canaan. Canaan was not one of Noah's sons, but he is the youngest son of Ham. The suggestion then is this story is about Ham and Canaan, not Noah and Ham. At some point in time, an editor moved the story from the history of the Hamites in chapter 10 to include it in the history of Noah. And that would make sense for the purpose of the narrative if we move it to follow Genesis 10:6. It also explains a few other discrepancies in the story itself. Noah is introduced as a man of the soil, but he was already introduced 3 chapters prior, so why would we need a reintroduction of a character we already know? It's also weird when considering the ending. After the flood, Noah lived 350 years and died at 950 years. Wouldn't that be better situated after the flood story? And the curse has a strange inclusion of both the brothers of Canaan and his uncles. He's supposed to be cursed as a slave to his brothers, but he's also a slave to Shem and Japheth? Now, I'm not saying the Bible isn't the inspired word of God or trying to cast doubt on the validity of it, but I mean, is your mind blown right now? Because my mind's pretty blown right now.